Welcome back to the Gaily Digest. I am Nigel,
And I am Joshua.
taking the piss out of me as usual, as you say that with your little grin, your cheeky smile. Welcome back. How are you, Josh?
I am good, thank you. Although it's raining today, so I'm all cozy in a blanket.
That's going to be nothing like it's going to be next week. Got a
So
storm coming next week.
don't, 'cause I have driving lessons.
Just watch out for flying cows.
I'll try. I'll keep my eyes out.
That would be best if you're on a driving lesson. Anyway, so yes, welcome back. We have got another full packed episode for you this week. We are doing our usual news. We're doing In Conversation. Josh gets back to his roots of being a moany old bitch again in the complaints closet. And without further ado, let's crack on with the show. Let's start with the news. So this week there has been some news that has come out, which kind of highlights and it goes along with previous themes we've had around Pride. And this is, I think you've probably seen it yourself, Josh, is the news about RuPaul's Drag Race UK star, Pixie Polite, getting assaulted at a Tesco supermarket in, I believe it was in Kent. Did you see that news, Josh?
I did.
So yeah, Pixie was out shopping in Tesco's. My understanding is that there was some homophobic abuse that started being shared, being used. So yeah, I think Pixie was quoted as saying it evolved from general comments, mocking, verbal homophobic abuse, and then violence. It was Collier's Wood Tesco, as I understand it. Pixie was punched in the back of the neck and head. So yeah, this is some news that's broken where Herne Bay Pride has condemned the incident, saying that they are disgusted and heartbroken. I think we'd share their sentiments on that. The group described the performer as its friend and continued that this is a stark reminder that hate is still very present in our society, and as homophobia continues to rise across the UK, we must stand together to protect and support one another. Herne Pride stands in full solidarity with Pixie. We send love, strength, and healing. Hate has no place here. Our community deserves safety, respect, and love. So yeah, Pixie performed at both Herne Bay and Dover Pride celebrations last August. So yeah, the attack happened in Collier's Wood, South London, not in Kent, as I initially believed. Pixie has said that main point is they're okay. The police were great. An incident evolved from general comments and mocking, etc. Homophobic abuse, then violence. So yeah, I think this is quite shocking, really. I want to say it's surprising as well, but I'm not surprised with the way society's going with views towards the LGBT community. But I'm sure we would share our support to Pixie Polite and wish some healing thoughts and feelings their way. What do you think about this news, Josh?
Well, this has been escalating over the last few years because the far right have rapidly been expanding, unfortunately. I think over the last year, actually, I've seen a few people on my social medias, more so when I was on Twitter, which I'm not anymore. But I'd see people posting their face like selfies, and they'd have like seriously beaten faces where they'd been homophobically attacked. And I think the same thing happened. Sadly, they're not with us anymore. But the Vivian, they also
Mm,
had a homophobic assault happen. Um, and it is starting to happen more often because, as I said, the far right have expanded so much. It's kind of seen as the norm now that you can just say what you want and do what you want to minorities because they're lower than you. That seems to be how a lot of these far right leaders speak. And then when their followers hear that, they mimic it. And they seem to think that it's acceptable to just shout slurs at you or racist remarks and things to people just openly and not hiding it, just doing it in the street. And then the problem is a lot of the times if you react, so if you say something back to them or you only have to be honest, you only have to look at them and they think you're looking at them a funny way. Immediately then they see that as a reason to escalate it and attack you. And a lot
Mm.
of the time they're probably gonna attack you anyway, but any excuse, you literally only have to look at somebody nowadays and they'll start calling you things. It's just this toxic atmosphere that we have nowadays. For some reason it's just got worse. Over lockdown I think it was better. People were just nice. I've said it before, people were just nicer during lockdown, but since
I think it's
then
because
it's
I
just
think because during lockdown there was a common cause, wasn't it? And it was more staying alive. But
yeah,
then
but I
I
think
think
lockdown.
I think even
Keep
during
talking.
lockdown though,
Keep
e
cutting over
e
each other.
you know, even during lockdown though, there were still some people that were all it's a conspiracy theory and this, that, and the other, and that were mocking people that were following the rules, that were wearing masks, that were getting vaccinated, and things like that. So there were still some small groups of people that were like that and that were just ignorant to the genuine health risks that there were around at the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Since during lockdown, people were nicer, but then there was also that part of the internet where conspiracy theories and paranoia and all these different things just exploded, and people fell down these rabbit holes. And then once COVID's kind of in the past now, the same people that were spreading these conspiracies moved on to the next conspiracies and things like that, which is probably attacking trans people and all these things. So the same people that were watching them during lockdown, then they've moved on to this thing, and then there's probably conspiracies about migrants, as you always hear. I did actually watch one podcast the other day, and there was this woman on there, and she said there's 200 million illegal immigrants in America, and I was like, but there's only like 320 million Americans, so I'm a bit confused. And she also said that when he said to her, "How many Americans do you think there are in America?" She went, "Over a billion, a few billion." So the problem is stupidity, as always. But yeah, these kind of people, they read stuff online, they live online, they hear all these nonsense facts and see them as truths, and then that starts leaching out into the real world, which is where we start getting people that just have no humanity anymore. They just want to attack people, swear at people. They're constantly angry. They're constantly ready to fight and just shout at people,
Yeah.
and that's just the
Um,
world we live in now, unfortunately.
I am going to stop you there because we're going to be touching on this a little bit more in conversation, which is coming next. And I think we're starting to go
I'm
through
waffling.
you're waffling, but we are starting to I think bleed into in conversation. But that is the news for this week. So let's move on. Now to continue on from where we were talking in the news, because Josh was waffling for so long. We're going to be talking about the rise of hatred. It's quite a depressing topic, but it's quite an important one. I think we need to discuss. So we've got the rise of hatred around homophobia. We've got the rise of hatred around transphobia, even racism, ageism, ableism, and stuff like that. So obviously we talked in the news about the attack on Pixie Polite, the homophobic assault and the homophobic abuse that was faced. And I think it's safe to say that we ourselves have faced similar kinds of abuse, and I'm sure that many of our listeners have faced these kinds of abuse and attacks and things like that. I mean, for me, I mean, something I posted on Blue Sky recently was a message that I got via Facebook Messenger, which the person rather bravely sent me the message, then blocked me so that I couldn't reply or report. But I found a way around to report it. Basically, just using the F word slur, the homophobic F word slur at me. That's not the first time I've had that as well. I've had a few messages like that, probably where I've challenged people on pride related posts around their homophobia. But yeah, I've been called all sorts, and it's the usual stuff as well that comes out when they equate homosexuality to paedophilia, or transgender people to paedophilia, when there's absolutely no basis in fact of that to suggest that either community is predominantly child sex offenders. Because I'm pretty sure statistically, the heterosexual community have more paedophiles than our communities put together. So, I mean, Josh, what about your experiences? I'm sure you've got some experiences that you want to share.
Well, I've talked about my past experiences. I think it was the last episode because I have such a great memory, where I said I was assaulted when I was a teenager pretty severely. That
Mm.
was a homophobic attack. So I've been through that, but I've also over the years growing up and things, I've had people call me slurs and things, even in the street sometimes. But I think the worst lately in the last few years is online because there doesn't seem to be any checks and balances at all.
Yes.
It's just a wild west of doing whatever people want to do. Um, More notably, a few years ago, the Mold Queen, the Grand High Witch,
Yep.
she she reposted something I posted criticizing her, and she posted a screenshot to her followers with my picture on there, my full name, everything, knowing exactly what she was doing. Um, and the level of violence and hatred that I received after that, I've never had it before in my life. I had death threats. I had people finding where I lived. I had people finding where I studied. Um, I had finding my family members. They were sending me pictures through my DMs with pictures of my family they'd found with nooses around them and me with nooses around my neck, all because of a post that she did about me.
Mm.
And the amount of homophobia that I received from that, that just constant, it was like thousands and thousands of DMs saying to kill myself, F slurs, threatening to kick me to death, all these kind of things. Um, and yeah, and people like that, imagine what they're like in the real world if they can say things to me like that and threaten to kill me and tell me to kill myself. What are they like in the real world?
Exactly. I mean, that's it's quite shocking that the level that that went to, and I was seeing the effect it was having on you as well, because I think you messaged me first thing in the morning and said you're feeling in a bad place because of all these messages you're getting, of all the abuse you're getting and stuff like that, and and yeah, she knew full well what she was doing. She knows that people latch onto her posts and then start going on the attack. Um, and I think that's the sort of goes around to the whole thing about online safety as well. I mean, the online safety bill is something that came in, was it last week?
Yes.
Um, and yes, that's quite a contentious issue as well, because there's pros and cons to it. There's a lot of people that are up in arms about it, because you've got to do age verification on certain websites, and they're worried that they're going to have to give it personal details and stuff like that. When a lot of them, it's literally just a scan of your face, and the scan of your face gets deleted. And even if it doesn't get deleted, well, hang on a minute, your profile picture is on a lot of your social medias, which has got your face on it.
I just think
So
that I personally think it's not strong enough. Obviously, its main aim is to prevent under 18 seeing adult content,
yeah,
but I think that the law needs to be more severe on people and what they say
mm,
online because I'm not the only person that the Mold Queen has done that to. She's done this to hundreds of people,
yeah,
and it does, and she's got all of her little minions that are prominent in those communities, and they do exactly the same thing. And I had other really big gender critical accounts then finding where I studied and then posting all of my information about where I studied, what I studied, the dates I studied, all this kind of stuff. And then when I reported it to social media, they just go, "Oh no, it doesn't break the rules." Or
Yeah.
I reported a DM of someone literally saying they're going to find me and behead me, and they said that didn't break the rules. And I reported one last year before I came off Twitter, and I recently had an email and a notification come through saying that it didn't break the terms, and I'm like, I haven't been on there this year. I've reported this last year. It's took you like 8 months to tell me you're going to do nothing. Um, and yeah, it's the same as Facebook. They've removed from their, I think, from their terms and conditions now that calling trans people mentally ill and saying homophobic slurs doesn't break their terms of service anymore.
Mm.
And it's
The
just
thing
things
is,
like that.
this goes down to the whole argument around freedom of speech, isn't it? And they think that by stopping people from saying these things, it's an attack on free speech. Well, it's not an attack on free speech, because freedom of speech has never equated to freedom from consequence. There's been, I mean, in the UK, there's been laws in place for decades that actually protect people from abuse, because you know part of your fundamental human rights is to be free from abuse, free from harassment. To live your life without fear of being attacked for who you are. Um, so for them to suddenly start saying, because I think social media has a part to play in this as well. I think that there's certainly, social media is to blame for some of this rise in this stuff, because there are a lot of people that create fake profiles, anonymous profiles, and use them solely to troll people, to abuse people, because they know if they did it on their own profiles with their name, their occupation, and where they work and stuff like that, they know they'd lose their job because they know it's wrong. And so this is where I think that there needs to be some kind of checks and balances in place when you're creating a profile where you have to be able to be identifiable from that, so that if you do break the law, you do abuse people, you do use your social media to abuse people, and it would stop anonymous trolls as well, because you'd only be able to create that one profile, you'd be identifiable, and if people break the law, it's a simple case of boom, there's their information, and then they can be dealt with. They can be brought to justice. They can be punished for behaving the way they've behaved. And I think that, whether it does or it doesn't, it could go away to deterring people from doing that, knowing they won't be able to get away with that. But then again, it brings up that whole thing of how are you going to do that? And you're going to have people that are saying, oh, they're collecting our personal data, they're collecting our IDs, this, that, and the other. It's turning into a dystopia. And then you're going to have people on the other side that's an attack on free speech, so we can't say what we want. Well, again, freedom of speech is not freedom from consequence. If you still have freedom of speech. Freedom of speech hasn't gone away. You can still say what you want to say, but expect that if what you say and what you do breaks the law, then expect to face the consequences for it. You've still got the freedom of speech. You've still got the freedom to say it. It just means that you will have consequences to it.
Yeah, and I think like freedom of speech to me is you should be able to like criticize your government, criticize your leaders, things like that. But I don't understand why you'd want to use racial slurs, why you'd want to use homophobic slurs. Like that's what you want to do. You want to go
Mm.
around doing that. And the thing is, if somebody came up to me in the real world when I'm outside and said, "I'm going to behead you," I could have them arrested and I could have them charged for threatening to kill me. But when they do it on social media, there is just no consequences anymore.
I
Because
think
trying to prove it, you just you can take a screenshot of them saying it, but unless you know exactly who they are, where they're from, and all this stuff, and they can verify it, it's very difficult to get
that's
anything done about these people.
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you talk about proving it. I mean, yes, it's there for everyone to see, so you can prove that it's happened. You can prove that it's taken place. However, it's identifying who's responsible and proving that that person did it. that's where I think the complications come in, because you tend to find that that's the point at which, well, they're hiding behind anonymity. But how do we get around that? How do we work to stop that? That, I mean, I think that would require that a worldwide legislation that all countries sign up to, and all social media companies have to agree that they have to abide by this if they're to keep functioning in certain countries. But again, it's that whole thing of, well, understandably, you're going to have people saying, well, I'm not giving them my ID. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. I don't want to be identifiable. Well, why don't you want to be identifiable? Why don't you want to be identifiable? Do you not want to be identifiable because you've got something to hide, or you want to behave in a certain way? Um, and yes, I get there is also the aspect of wanting privacy. You have got that fundamental right to privacy. And it's that very fine line, isn't it? Um, People want privacy, rightly so. I get that, totally understand that. But people also want to be free from abuse when they're using social media, and they want to know that if they do get abused, they can report it and it can be dealt with. But the problem is, I think a lot of these companies are using AI, or using apps, or pieces or bits of software that scan and automatically feedback and filter out, say no breach, because it hasn't read it properly, or it hasn't read the context of it properly, because they're being very clever in how they're doing it. They're changing a character when they're using a certain slur or something like that, and it actually needs a person to look at it. But I think what's happening is they're using this software, it's filtering it out, and then it's filing it as dealt with. And you want it reviewed, again, it goes to another bit of software. That software reviews it, files it dealt with. It's not been dealt with. You should have an option to say, I want this to be reviewed by a person, not technology, so that if you think the software's made a mistake, it goes to a person. Okay, it might take a while because there'd probably be a lot of things going that way, but it's how do we stop it? And the rise of this with social media, so many social media companies out there now, people are using it, they're going on, they're creating anonymous profiles, and they're doing it to just because they want to troll people. I mean, like you say, like yourself, I don't get why people just want to be racist, homophobic, transphobic, ableist, sexist, misogynistic. Um, I don't get it. I don't get what the mentality is behind those people. I mean, does it make them feel empowered in some way? Does it make them feel good about themselves? Does it make them feel big about
I
themselves,
think
that
I
they're
think it does
belittling
get I think
others?
it does get them off. I think it does get them off doing it because if they said even 10% of this stuff in the real world, they would very quickly get a realization that it's not
Mm,
acceptable. People would call them out on it and say, "What the hell do you think you're saying?"
mm,
So online, they just think that this amazing God who can say everything they want with no consequences. And the problem is when we have laws coming in, this child safety law, it's taken years to get it to the
mm,
point it is now. And by the time we get to this point, it comes in, technology's already moved on another 10 years in front of it. So they're never catching up. It's so
mm.
slow, we will never catch up to it.
Trouble is, I mean, the only legislation that comes in quick is emergency legislation. And that's usually in extreme situations or circumstances.
I
This
think
isn't
we're in an
classed as.
emergency. I think we are in an emergency with the misinformation and the conspiracies and the far right online.
Mm,
This is why we're ending up with people like Trump and Farage and Andrew Tate, because the governments do absolutely nothing
mm,
to counter. They just like they'll now and again make a statement like we condemn their words, and then that's it. They don't do anything.
yeah, but I mean, we've also seen other examples of people that we know, that we follow, that we've interacted with, that have been subject of homophobia. They've been subject to assaults, homophobic abuse, this and the other. And I mean, it's like, I think you mentioned briefly before, where people have posted pictures of themselves where they've been assaulted. They've got black eyes, they've got cuts, um, they've got bleeding jaws and stuff like that, and nosebleeds, broken noses, and all sorts. And these are people that have just been out enjoying themselves and they've been attacked. And I think it goes back to that argument of when it's Pride season and we see Pride posts, there's all these people going on social media saying you don't need Pride, you've got rights, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. There are still what 60 odd countries, in 64 countries I think in the world where you can face the death penalty, where it's illegal to be gay. Um, and there are still homophobic attacks in this country. There are still people that are physically assaulted. There's still people that are verbally abused. You point out to them, just look through the comments on this post where there's clear homophobia, there's homophobic jokes, this, that, and the other. And you think that pride isn't needed, and they come out with the inevitable when straight pride, and you rattle off loads and loads of reasons as to why there's no straight pride, because it's never been necessary. And they're like, oh, you just cut and paste that from something. No, I've literally just sat here and written that out because it's facts that I know because I've educated myself and you haven't educated yourself.
You can't reason with them.
This is the problem, isn't it? They're just so sort of rabbit in the headlights with they've just got tunnel vision with this is how they think life should be. This is how they think life is. They don't understand facts. But it goes back to that favourite quote of mine. The very powerful and the very stupid have one thing in common. They don't alter their views to fit the facts. They alter the facts to fit their views. And I love that line. I love that phrase. It's absolutely perfect, I think. And I think it explains and describes a lot of people out there that follow these conspiracy theories. And then when you put facts before them, they've got absolutely zero interest in accepting those facts. It's now time for your favourite part of the show and Josh's, because it's the part where he gets to be a moany old bitch. Isn't it, Josh?
Can we have less of the old, considering you turned 65 the other day?
Fuck off. I did not turn 65 the other day, thank you very much.
60, God.
It wasn't even 60. It was 35. What was that noise? That sounded like you farted. No, that sounded like you farted there.
Sure. It was my mouth making a stupid noise. Because you said a stupid number.
Okay, I was a few years off. It's 30. Anyway.
Decade.
Fuck off. Anyway, what are you moaning about this week, Josh? What are you bringing to the complaints closet?
I'm trying to decide because my list keeps getting longer and then I never catch up with it and then I get confused of what I've already done. So my notes are just a hot mess of anger and frustration. One of my complaints may also be one day my complaint list. I'll complain about my complaint list because it's not organised.
You just like complaining about complaints, don't you?
I do. Anyway, this time I'm going to complain about questionnaires. After everything you ever do in life, there's a questionnaire. So if I go out for dinner, I finish my dinner and I leave. An hour later, you get an email. Questionnaire, rate us, how was it? Even though I've already told the staff. You go to the cinemas, you finish that, come home, another email. How was your film? How was it? Rate the film, rate the toilets, rate the chairs, rate the food, all this stuff. Because I've got 6 hours. And then, now, if you go to the shop and you buy something and you have to use a club card, then you get a bloody email from that. How was your shopping? How was the food? I'm like, I've not even got home yet. And you're already asking me.
I get that from my gym. How was your experience? Exhausting. Bloody exhausting. That's what it was.
It's driving me mad because it's why do I have to rate everything? Everything I do. In fact, I went to the hospital last month and when I got home, I had an email from them. No, how was your hospital trip? Obviously not fucking great. It's a hospital. And it was like, how was the toilet? I don't know. I didn't use them. How was the shop? How was the calf? How would you rate the waiting time? I'm going to need to go back to A&E in a minute because the stress they're giving me from having to do fucking questionnaires about why I was at the hospital and stuff. Like, why did you visit
Your
today?
blood
None of
pressure's
your
through the roof.
business. Yeah, but they ask you, what, why did you visit? Where did you visit? It's none of your business, and you should know this because you sent me a questionnaire. And honestly, it's driving me mad. Everything. If you do a phone call and complain or something, then you get a questionnaire after that asking me how was it, and then you'll do a. In fact, the other day I went into Poundland and she gave me a receipt and then she circled this address and she went, "If you go on here and rate your visit, you could win £100." I'm like, so now they're on my receipts. Everything asks me to rate stuff.
I don't mind it if you rate something and you definitely 100% get something free out of it, because Pizza Express do that. I think you get free dough balls if you rate their experience and you get a
Yeah,
voucher for
that's I did actually have one of their emails the other day, and I do have free dough balls. So if you want me to do a review and not complain, give me free food or something.
it.
But my favorite kind of review is where it'll say, "How was your visit?" or something, and it's like a smiley face and an angry face, like 1 to 5, and I just tap it, done. I think Audi does that. You just tap a smiley face, that's it, I'm off. Like, why do I have to fill in a 6-page questionnaire and you can't leave any boxes empty? You have to write something. And then it
I just
asks
put
you, and then
I
it
just put
says,
NA.
it'll go, "Is there any staff you want to recognise?" I can barely remember what I had to eat there. How am I going to remember everyone's names? And it's like, "What did you eat?" And I'm like, how do you not know all this? Why am I having to tell you this? You're invading my privacy. I did not give permission for you to email me questionnaires. And it's honestly, it's getting to the point now where as soon as I get one, I'll mark it as spam because I'm sick. They're literally everywhere. Everywhere. In fact, even when you go on the bloody self-service, as soon as you press OK and pay, then it says rate your service, and I'm like, I haven't
I
even had
served
my food
myself.
yet. Yeah, I served myself five stars. I haven't even had my food yet because you've only just printed the receipt. What? And it's like, how clean is the place? I'm like, I'm stood here and I've just used the self service. I haven't even sat down. How can I rate the toilets and everything? I'm getting. I think it should be illegal. I'm sick of it. It should be a smiley face and a sad face, and that's it. That's all you're allowed to ask me. If I want to complain, I will go to you and complain. I don't need you to email me and ask me to do all this stuff because then I'm going to complain about the email asking me to rate the place. So yeah, that's my complaint. I'm sick of it. They're everywhere. They're taking over. Complaints everywhere. I'm just firing complaints at them. What's your complaint anyway? Now I've had my little rant away. I'll try not to take over yours because I'm feeling the urge to rant more.
So my complaint is, when you go to places, it's nothing to do with questionnaires or anything like that, but you go to places like that are public places or that where publicly use them, and people leave disgusting things in public places. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Right? I was in town the other week and I needed to go to the loo, so I went to the loo, sat in the loo, go to get the toilet paper, and what's on the wall right next to the toilet paper? Someone's shit. Literally, a skid mark is on the wall by where the toilet paper is. So someone has either their fingers gone through the paper and they've wiped it on the wall, or they've just wiped their ass, wiped it on the wall. But how it got there, I don't know. I really don't know. It's disgusting. I looked at it and I thought, no, no. So that's one thing. I was at the gym the other week. Funnily enough, I mentioned I get questionnaires from the gym every time I visit. Yeah, bloody exhausting. Well, I went to the gym the other week and I'm showering because there's nice little. The great thing about the showers in my gym, it's a private cubicle with a door you can lock, so you've got complete privacy. It's great. Anyway, so I'm in there, shut the door, lock it, go to hang my bag up, put my t-shirt up and everything. And on the door, on the back of the door, someone has left or stuck to it a used plaster. A used plaster was on the door. Why?
This
Why?
is
There's
this is why I
there's a
don't use
bin in
public
there.
places.
There's a bin in there.
Oh,
If your plaster's come off, put it in the fucking bin. Don't stick it to the door or to the wall. You know, okay, if your finger's gone through your toilet paper and gone up your shitty arse, fucking get another bit of paper and wipe it on that, and then wash your hands afterwards. Don't wipe it on the fucking wall.
I like how you've gone full circle back to bodily functions like the original days. But
But
this is why I don't use public restrooms or public anything because people are disgusting.
it's like people piss on the seat. It's like lift it up for God's sake.
I once had to go to a service station and someone had full on had a shit with the toilet seat down on the seat.
Do you
And
think they got in and couldn't make it?
I don't know. But there was no toilet roll with it or anything, so I'm guessing they just got up after.
You know what? On this subject, right? I used to work for a shop that has long since gone, Woolworths, and was working in store one day. Someone came down to the entertainment counter because I used to work on the entertainment counter. Someone came down to the entertainment counter and said, "I don't know how to tell you this, but someone's had a shit in your photo booth."
Oh God. See, this is what I mean.
In the
People
in
are
the photo
just
booth. And do you know what they did? Right? They had a shit in the photo booth. It was clearly an adult human shit because it was massive. It was fucking massive, right? And they'd obviously pulled the curtain across the photo booth,
well, privacy,
but
of course.
obviously, but for added privacy, they decided what they were going to do because it was up in the toy section, the photo booth, which is even more concerning. They came out of it and got a child's cowboy hat and put it over the poo to
So
hide it.
that's actually
Right,
quite funny.
right, right. So they put it over the poo, and do you know the person that found it and reported it to us, they were just putting their kid into the photo booth to have their kid's passport photos taken, right?
I bet they thought that was like something you can wear in the photo booth.
And it was the kid that lifted the cowboy hat up and discovered the poo.
And now that child is an adult and they have a chronic fear of photo booths.
But to this day, we don't know whether it was someone that had a bit of beef with us that decided, oh, you know what, I'm going to get my own back. I'm going to shit on their photo booth. Or if it was someone that was genuinely caught short, there was no nearby public loos, when they were in the store and they were like, I really need to go, and just went.
Maybe they didn't like the price of the photos because normally they're really overpriced.
Who
That
knows?
it
Who
was
knows?
it was a poo protest.
But yeah, it's things that leave disgusting things in public places.
It's
It
usually always in toilets.
mm, or
Disgust.
changing rooms.
People are just disgusting in general.
But then I've seen people where they've had a shit in a public place where it's like in the street and they've just left their shitty tissue on the floor where they've had a
I,
shit.
I don't even know. Or used condoms. They're usually flung around places,
Yeah,
as you
that's
do,
true.
in the
That's
middle of
true.
a road, and then the only question is, where did this happen? It's in the middle of a road.
It's a disaster zone.
But yeah, the moral of the story is, people are disgusting.
Certain people are disgusting.
This is
Yes.
why I like to stay indoors.
And that is all we've got time for this week, or almost all we've got time for this week. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. I certainly have. I know it's been a quick turnaround since the last episode because we had that little extra bonus episode thrown in the week. But would be interested to know your thoughts and hear your views. And if there's anything you'd like us to discuss or talk about, drop us a message, drop us a DM, drop us an email at our email address of thegailydigest@gmail.com. That is really all from me. Anything to add, Josh?
No, I'm absolutely exhausted now because I think I did extra ranting and complaining today. So it's a miracle. I got tired of moaning.
Heaven forbid that ever happens again.
Until
We
next
need you.
time,
Well, we need you for the next complaints closet, don't we?
I will be
But
there.
but yes, thanks for joining us. We hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.